All right, my friends, did you know that there is tremendous value in the ability, the gift of being able to celebrate our fellow women, to encourage versus discourage, to raise up rather than tear down? And this, my friends, is a ticket to having a healthier and fuller life, without question. And this is what we're going to be chatting about today. I am so excited, kind of flipping roles here. I have my guest, Erin Strayer, with me from the Erin Strayer Show, fellow podcaster. I want to welcome you, Erin, to the show.
So excited to be here. It's Erin Squared night.
Erin Squared. So, and I was like, we were talking right before we hopped on. I'm like, you know what? Because I'm thinking how we connected. It was like 2 years ago, right? I mean, really almost 2 years ago, that I was on your podcast. And then it's just so cool how life kind of, reconnects people. Maybe a few months ago, we connected with a fellow friend of ours, a mutual friend that we didn't even know was a mutual friend. And then, we're in a summit together. So it's just cool how life works out. And it really kind of triggered some thoughts for me when we started dialoguing about how important it is, how significant it is when it comes to being able to encourage, to just find peace and gratitude in our fellow woman. And I believe it's something that's kind of a I don't want to say a weak point. I don't know what the right word is, but something that many, many women struggle with. It looks at it as threatening when someone else succeeds, looks at it as I'm less significant, when there's an accomplishment. So I want to kind of get the ball rolling where it comes to thinking about what value is there when we make the decision to find the positive and the strength rather than the negative with the women we are friends with, the women that we work with, and the women that are in our lives as family members. So I kind of want to pick your brain a little bit, like the value when we make that decision to seek that positive end of it rather than the negative end of it.
Yeah. And thank you. I think it's so important. And I think for me, the older I got, the more that was very, very important. I realized I had isolated myself. I'd put myself on an island. I wanted to keep myself very tight and secure, and I didn't want people to know everything that I knew, and I didn't want them to I didn't want to feel like an imposter though either. So if I didn't share what I knew, then there's no way that I could possibly line myself up against somebody else to go, oh, well, that's not quite, the way that they do it kind of mentality. And so personally for me, like I had separated myself from a lot of the women that I needed to lean on, really, quite frankly, for a long time. And I had a pretty big aha experience. A coach of mine, I had been through her program. We had, this is probably 6 years ago now. I had been all the way through her program. And I'd been out of contract with her for probably 4 or 5 months. And she called me out of the blue. It was on a weekend. I even remember that. And she's like, hey, this is the next step for you. I think you need to put yourself into this emotional intelligence leadership program. And I think this is your next step, Erin. And I'm like, well, why do you think that you want me to go teach there? Like, that was what I thought. She's like, no, I want you to be a student. I want you to go as a student. And I'm telling you what, in that experience, and I thought, well, I have mad respect for this lady. Like, still to this day, we're fast friends and colleagues, and we refer people back and forth to each other. And I thought at the time, I'm like, gosh, if she thinks this strongly that I should go do this as my next thing, not teach it, but be a student of it, I'm going to do it. Well, that was a massive turning point for me. And in that experience, I realized that I'd been on this island. I had been secluded. I had isolated myself. I had withdrawn from the need of resources. I don't need anybody, right? And I didn't realize that I was craving the friendships, the camaraderie, the collaboration, the like picking your brain, the tapping of the resources, the feelings that you get when you surround yourself with other amazing people. Yeah. Like, just that, like, your vibe goes through the roof. Like, you and I just, like, are crazy when we get in a conversation. Yeah.
But you become better. And I do think it's that turning point where you're like, okay, this fellow woman, they're not a threat, right? We make it. I have the ability, because I believe we are perpetual students. We should always be learning. We have the ability, because you had said somebody to lean on. We were not meant to be islands, and finding power and just stoke, right, in being able to have other women who want to be leaders, or other women who just want to make the world better, or other leaders who have that passion that we have for whatever it is. I know when we hopped on, I'm going to say maybe 2 or 3 months ago, there was a call, and I'm like, Erin Strayer, and I was like, yeah, but it's cool how paths realign. But when we're willing to just, I am going to say partially put our pride on hold, right?
Yeah,
take that veil off our eyes and just say, I want to learn, I want to be better, and I want to celebrate my fellow woman instead of being like, boom, I'm an island. I mean, I think there's a lot of islands. I've been an island before, because it's just easier, and it easier in the sense of we think that it's easier. It's actually harder. But like, I think it's a self-defense mechanism in a lot of senses.
For sure. I agree 100% with you. And I think it's almost ingrained in us from a very young age that you just buck up and do it. Yeah. Right? Like, instead of tapping resources and leaning on your classmates, even as little people, right? Yeah. Like, hey, I know this isn't a group project, but did you ask so-and-so how they're doing? Are they struggling in the same spot? Maybe they're not and you are, or maybe you guys can help each other, right? Yeah. Like, even that from a very young age, it was in me anyway. It's like, hey, you just do it. You just buck up and do it. And I think that mentality, we get to strip that away. We get to go, hey, I need my people. I don't always want to be the smart. I don't want to be the smartest person in the room. Right. I want other high vibe, amazing women to surround me. I want to.
Because you become smarter in that capacity, because it's like, oh, I didn't think of it that way. Or, oh my gosh, that's right. And it's just kind of like this domino effect that's of the ability, like, wow. I mean, it's like, I've been on calls before, and I finish up and I'm like, man, my day is literally better. And I now have a different outlook with what I'm taking this approach with my business, or I'm doing this. Because if we think we know everything, we're doing something massively wrong, and we're missing out. And I do think there's this mentality with a lot of people that if I ask questions, it means I'm weak, or it means I'm foolish, or I'm this, or I'm that. I used to tell kids I worked with, they'd be like, I'm thinking about being a teacher. I'm thinking about, being a veterinarian. I'm thinking about, working on cars. And I'd be like, well, why don't you just spend the day, talk to your parents, line something up, and shadow someone and ask them questions. I'm like, wouldn't that be a good idea before like jumping into like a $40,000 a year school? Just kind of throwing. And I'm not a guidance counselor. I was a crisis counselor, but I'm like, always ask questions. Yeah. Always ask questions. Like, I wanted to be a physical therapist. I wanted to be a professional surfer. I wanted to be an OT. Like, boop, 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 and here I am, in the mental health field. But it took lots of questions and lots of. Let's ask questions. How do you make that transition, Erin? Like, what are your thoughts? I know you do. I love, love, love what you're doing. Right? On Facebook, you have a group, Female Leaders and Influencers. I mean, you are a female leader doing really good, like getting a stoke on with all these other women. How does that transition begin to happen with somebody that really innately struggles with, how do I get comfortable being comfortable with other women and having that, like, I want to ask questions, people to lean on, not feeling threatened. Thoughts? I know I threw a lot at you with that one.
No, it's a really good question, and I think when we, specifically as women, men don't seem to have as hard a job or a mentality to ask for help, or not necessarily to ask for help, but to like lean on buddies, right? Or lean on colleagues, or hey, I go to YouTube first to figure out how to do XYZ, right? Like, I think women think that, again, exactly what you said before, it shows weakness if you have to ask a question. We are constant caregivers and suppliers and supporters and encouragers, and where are we getting it from when we are give all the time? How are we getting replenished, right? And I know you talk a lot about that. It's not always about the give. You have to be able to experience the receive as well. So when we surround ourselves with people that we feel comfortable enough to ask questions, right? And where you don't have an ulterior motive, right, for the questions. It is just, one, it's pure curiosity. Two, if you're tapping a resource that has been there, done that, gone before, right? I love that word, gone before you. Like, those are the people that should be mentors, right? If they're a step ahead of you, they've gone before. And like, they should be able to, like, one of the things I love to do is, hey, you can jump on my calendar for 30 minutes and I'll give you feedback on a question inside of your business. Like, from my perspective, my eyeballs, free, right? Like, you want that? I'll give it to you all day long, any day of the week, right? You want more? Then we get to talk about working together. But in essence, when you reach out to somebody, one, you've already done your research, right? You've already trolled that person, or you have already read their energy. You've already checked their vibe out. You know how they how they are. Like, for me, I troll people. I troll them, right? Like, I see if they're consistent on their feeds, right? Do they alter? Do they waver? Is their business page different than their personal page as far as what they're talking about, where their stance is? Is it off at all there? And if I'm digging the people on all the aspects, and when I'm going and trolling who they are as people, then I'm going to go the extra mile and reach out to them. And, hey, I'd love to have you in my group. And, hey, I'd love to hop on a conversation. Or I check them out on LinkedIn, right? Because a lot of times people put on a different face even on LinkedIn than they do on, Instagram or Facebook or wherever else, right? Or how
social media can definitely put you in a different light, in terms of who are you. And I think with that, some women, like you said, maybe don't even really know fully who they are, because there's different facades. There's different, on LinkedIn I'm this, and on Instagram I'm this, and on Snapchat I'm that. And I know we have different areas of our life, but that consistency. And one thing I did that you mentioned, I wanted to hit on a little bit, is the aspect where, like, you're giving feedback. And I would call that constructive feedback. I believe there's many, 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 many women out there, and men, that constructive feedback is taken with an ouch. Like, why would you say that, instead of looking at it as a gift, instead of looking at it as the ability to grow? And again, if somebody's like, you stink, and, Erin, what about, like, you're like, yo, that's not what we're looking for, where somebody's being mean and belittling. There's a difference between that and constructive criticism, because I'm always like, how can I do better with my podcast, as a life coach, as a motivational speaker? Because if I think I'm up here, I'm going to be ready to, somebody's going to knock me down because we're always growing if we allow ourselves to grow. But I believe I've come across this quite frequently in the past 10 years, where someone has asked for my feedback, my opinion, just like you had said, I'm giving my thoughts, and I'll say, I don't know everything for sure, but I'm going to tell you from 20 plus years in the mental health field and doing what my thoughts are, my 2 cents on how this applies to you. Take it or leave it. And where there are times the people have gotten very mad and taken it where like, why would you say that? Well, you asked me, and I'm telling you, this is the ability to shed some light and really rock your world in some beautiful ways.
Yeah.
Not saying, do you know, I mean, what are your thoughts with that? And have you encountered that?
Yeah, for sure. You know, and a lot of times I double ask, right? Like, okay, you asked me for my honest opinion. I'm asking you right now, do you really want it? Because what I'm going to give you is honest feedback that will set you up to succeed. It will plug the holes. It will help you scale. When you have the ability to measure what you're doing, because I'm a huge data girl. Like, data doesn't lie. If you're not keeping track of what you're doing in whatever business you're in, every single thing is trackable. Everything is trackable. If you are not tracking your metrics, I'll guarantee you're leaving money on the table. Left and right, you're leaving money on the table. And you're like, well, it's not all about the money. Or no, but money makes you work. Money drives your home. Money allows you to take your vision and your mission and your cellular desire to that next level to impact more people, which is ultimately what you want to do with whatever it is that you do, right? It's the ultimate driver in anything is that cellular desire that gave you a vision, that made a mission, that's become a dream. You know, the mission became the dream, that became the goal, because it was so cellular to you. And to hit the goal and to make it come to fruition, it takes capital. And capital comes when you receive. Yeah. So this is coming full circle in this conversation, right? Like when we give and give and give and give and give, you have to be able to receive also. So
and how that's not selfish. I just want to throw that out there. How it's not selfish. I do think there's this, and I've struggled with it. Like you've got to feel like you're giving. Yep. And then it's like, well, you wonder why you're freaking out, right? Like you stub your toe and it's like the world's on fire, right? Is the world on fire? Or like, what's this connected to where we just keep giving and we can't be the people we're supposed to be when we're just, well, I give all the time. Well, there's no awards for that. What ends up happening, you end up having a mental breakdown, or you end up just being diluted in your effectiveness in every single role in your life. Everyone. I don't have time to do that, or I don't have time for self-care. And I say false. You do, but you have to interweave it in a way that works for your lifestyle. I get that. That could be driving in the car, just with the windows down, inhaling some fresh air, having a bonfire, or whatever the heck it is, reading a book, a chapter a night before you go to bed. Like I think there's so many people like that's selfish. I can't, and women who do this to other women, I can't believe she gets her nails done twice, a month. Or I can't believe, look at her, she's going to this place. And I'm like, dude, let's just cheer for each other. Let's just cheer for each other, right? Like golf clap. You're on a little beach and you're drinking a mojito. I wish I was there, right? Have fun.
Right.
Yeah, and that, right? It sounds a little bit of ice, that's delicious, and a little mint, but like, or they're out doing this, or like cheer for each other, because I want to throw this at you. How when we compare in a negative way, or like, oh, she's airbrushed those lips, right? Like, what does that do to our mental health? I want to, in terms of the aspect of our mental health, and I'm like, what are you doing to yourself?
Yeah. So in my opinion, like when I am negative in my thoughts, in my actions, or my words, because our thoughts are as real in the universe as our actual words, right? So when I am negative, what does that do? That actually affects me. Okay, it lowers my vibe. It lowers every single thing in the vibration of my body, to bring it to the net level of the negative that I'm putting out. Okay? So what does that do? That brings me down.
Yep. That
puts me at another level. I wasn't meant to be down here. I was meant to be up here. So it's a choice.
It's a choice.
It's absolutely 100% a choice. And we've all been dealt a pretty rotten hand lately. Every single one of us have been in the same boat. We're all got the same captain, and we all got the same rotten hand that we've been dealt, right? What we do with it, the choices that we make on every single day, are how we continue personally to rise above, to keep our vibration high, to not contribute to the negative aspect, right? It's that we have a mutual friend that talks about the line, right? Are you above or below the line? Yeah. Right? I choose, you choose, Erin. Most Erins that I know
awesome.
choose to be above the line. I know quite a few Erins, and every single one of us live above the line. The line is neutral. That's the neutral point, right? When you are below the line, you're below, right? You're less than average. You brought yourself here, whether it's with your words, with your actions, with your thoughts. You chose to be below the line. I choose to live above the line. I'm sorry you think that way. I don't. I'm going to be over here.
Yeah.
Right?
But it's intentional. And I think for those who maybe are like, man, I've struggled with this my whole life, it's a new day. And it's like anytime something negative comes in your mind about somebody or before it comes out of your mouth, I say replace it with a positive.
Yeah.
And being intentional, it's a daily pursuit because it doesn't happen overnight. If you're
That's a writer downer.
It is. It's intentional pursuit. It has to be intentional. You have to saturate yourself with it. Otherwise, it'll squish you in your negative again because there's so much negativity. And there's so little, and this is like talking about this today, the ability, the gift, the freedom of being confident enough in yourself to be like, yeah, girl, like rock on. And your tribe, and if your tribe is negative, you're going to get
find
negative.
another
it's
tribe.
Gonna be toxic, like peace out, get a different zip code, baby.
Yep.
Like what you can do it. And it is hard. I will say this, like I have some phenomenal women that I have been blessed with in my life over the years. I've moved to Florida almost like a year and a half ago. It's been really hard to find a new tribe with a pandemic and, I'm homeschooling and all that, but I'm pursuing it, and I know it'll happen, but I know having strong women, and online has been a magnificent gift for me, being involved in different groups and just chatting and encouraging. It comes in all different forms, and the social media and the internet can be negative, but make it positive.
Yeah.
Make it positive. Where is your tribe? And if you've had a lifetime of negative and ripping other women down or feeling like, threatened by other women, today's a new day. Start it, sister friend. Start it. Throw it down. Drop the mic. Peace out. And start the positivity train.
Yeah.
Because negativity will rock you over, dude. It will rock you over. And I've seen it where I'm like, why are so many women threatened by one another and not like, girl, you did a great job. Or wow, you did this, or you went, on a vacation, or you got a new car, like awesome. Instead of like, where did that car come from? Where do they get the money?
Right.
Like just positive, and how that will like rock our world with our mental health. It will absolutely do amazing things. I want to throw this out there too. I want you to explain a little bit about the group that you have going on with fellow women. Yeah. And the opportunity if anybody wants to hop on.
Yeah. So talking about creating your own space, right? So the middle to end of March, that's exactly what I decided. I said, I need some new vibe going on. I need some tribe around me. I get to create the space that I want to play in. And I get to have the people that I want in my space. So I think it was like, 18th or 20th or something like that of March, I launched the Female Leaders and Influencers Facebook group. It has 780 women in it as of today.
That's awesome.
It's 2 months old.
Yeah.
Tomorrow.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Tomorrow. There's 780 some women in this group. They are all massive thought leaders and influencers and people that are looking forward. You know what I mean? They are looking forward. They're looking for collaboration. They're looking for positivity. They're looking for opportunities. They're looking to have a space to play in where they can exist also. And I'm telling you what, it lights me up. It really lights me up. And I've had a lot of these women I know and have had connections with speaking events or live events, or they've been clients of mine. They've been on my show. They've been personal invitations from me. And then it's like, can we invite our friends here? Yeah, you can. Yeah, invite your friends here. If you think that they would like this space, bring them. Because I like you. And I'm sure if I like you, I'm going to like your people. So
well, it's encouraging and it's uplifting and it's tribe. So if somebody is on Facebook and they want to check it out, where do they scroll? What do they type in?
Yep, female leaders and influencers. It's pretty easy to find it. So it's on Facebook. We also have a clubhouse that's been started and it's going, and we have some really interesting conversations. And it's also leaders and influencers on Clubhouse. But it is all women, and we have our own little club over there that's growing over on Clubhouse, which is a whole nother little space all in its own to navigate and play in. But yeah, you can find me there, and
also at erinstrayer.com if they want to hop on and check things out and everything that you kind of provide. And I do want to say thank you.
You can go back and watch our old interview.
Yeah, right now. Yeah, let's do it, baby. I know. It was like 2 years ago. That's crazy. It was in my car, right? I was like, but on my lunch break, judge me not, but never took lunch, and there you go. Get lunch when you can, and I loved it. I remember walking out after our interview. I'm like, just those moments that you have, right, when you're with other people, and we're focusing on women today, just that really can just make you excited about living. And that this is what, just such a beautiful thing, taking time to step back and say, where is my vibe? Am I able to celebrate my fellow women? Am I confident enough in myself? And if not, it needs to start changing today, because it will change your life. It will change how you look at yourself. It will change how you look at the world. Women, I would encourage you to hop on Erin's Facebook page, because it all starts somewhere. And it's just like, who are you hanging with? What's your tribe? Life is too short to be comparing and contrasting, to refrain from self-care, to thinking we're not good enough, and all these things that dilute our ability to just fully live. Crazy train, let's do it, and we could do it together. And I want to say thank you guys for tuning in today. Be sure, if you haven't already, make sure you follow, subscribe to the Goodness Chick podcast, or on YouTube. Would love to have you. And thank you for tuning in and knowing we're continuing to keep the goodness going. Wishing you all, my friends, a tremendous amount of peace, love, and goodness.